From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a program on issues, events, and people impacting Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Later on today's show, we will learn more about SEMO's historic preservation program, and we'll meet two members of the Redhawks Equestrian Team. But first, Dr. Rich Flotron is with us. He is Chief of Police at Southeast Missouri State University. Dr. Flotron, good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
So last time you were here, you were Director of Public Safety. So you've got a new title and there's been some reorganization. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, so in July, we changed from Department of Public Safety to University Police Department. And the reason for that is just kind of, Department of Public Safety is more of an antiquated position or antiquated nomenclature for, prior to me, the Director of Public Safety was non-commissioned. So since I'm a commissioned officer, it made a little bit more sense to kind of move to a police department.
Yeah, and you're commissioned with the Cape PD, right? I noticed that's something that happened recently.
Yeah, so part of our commissioning ceremony is we're commissioned through the state, obviously through the university, and then we also have a cross commission through the Cape Girardeau Police Department.
Okay. So what other things happened with this organizational change? Anything internally happened?
Yeah, so we also added the police academy, is now under the umbrella of the police department. So that used to be a separate entity that was under workforce development. And so since we made that change, the police department now, we have the academy director is now a captain under the police department. Okay. And then so Dane Stousing is the captain of that, and he runs the police academy. We also moved away from transit. So transit used to be under the Department of Public Safety, and we shifted that to Cape County Transit Authority. Mm-hmm. That was also done in July 1, and what that did is that by transitioning that away from the university is basically it's not under the Department of Public Safety anymore, under the University Police Department, because that way it's back to where it should be, because you have people who run the transit stuff all of the time, so they can use it a little bit better. And
I guess that change it enables students to actually have more opportunities to go to places beyond the campus, right? Absolutely, yeah. So the big transition was we had two routes. We had a blue route and a green route, and what the problem was is sometimes we had trouble keeping drivers. And then we also had wings, which was on Wednesdays and Saturdays, which basically took students free of charge. They would pick them up at towers, and there was kind of a route that they would go, but usually they would take them to the shopping mall or Walmart or different places around town. Mm-hmm. The problem with that was there was so many that needed that we had to get bigger buses, first of all, because sometimes there was just like a 2 or 3 hour wait for them to get there. So by transitioning to the CGCTA, is they can now catch that same shuttle. It's not a bus, but it's a shuttle that runs every hour, and they're picked up by the Nexus building right there by the rec center. They're picked up every hour, and again, that's free of charge, and that takes them anywhere in the city. So let's zoom back a minute. So these changes, so things that really aren't under your umbrella anymore, has that freed your department up to do other things maybe that you have time to that you didn't before? We did, and that freed us up to do a little bit of thing called police work. So the police work has been, my main focus. I really wanted to get back to us being more student-centric, customer-centric. I want to see my officers get out there. I want them to be police officers. I want them to do traffic. I want them to meet people where they are, meet the students where they are. So you might see them do a lot of foot patrol now through campus. You see them, do obviously, they can do driving, roving patrol, but I really want them to be more visible on campus and more interaction with the students. And we're doing a lot of community events as well. This last week I did a couple things for homecoming. Did some alcohol talks for some fraternities and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that we should be doing, is more kind of community outreach. And I guess it used to be, though, the officers were kind of just in the background, and that's something that you wanted to change. Absolutely. So when I sat with you last year, that was one of my goals, was to get us to be a little bit more visible. Again, I'm big on being seen, because the more you're seen, the more you're known, and if people feel comfortable with you as a police officer, if they, I challenge my officers to go into the offices and meet the
meet the people in the offices so they know them on a first name basis, and associate with the students, and go to the lunchroom or go to the cafeterias and have lunch with them, just so that way they're seen. And because if they're more comfortable with them and interacting with them, then they're going to be more apt to share information, and they're going to feel more comfortable with having those officers there.
It's the idea, and I know the Cape PD has done this, the community policing sort
Absolutely.
of approach, and that's really what you're trying to implement.
That's
here.
right. That's right. And that's exactly what it's all about. And you know, it's a little bit an offshoot of the community policing is that more what I call student centric, to get them out there and get them in the. I don't mean this facetiously, but I mean get them in the faces of the public, get them in the faces of the students and the faculty and the staff, so that way they know them. And I get a lot of great reports from faculty and staff say, you know, we've seen more officers this year than we ever have before, and we didn't realize that you had so many different officers. You know, I really pride our department on the fact that we're very diverse. And you know, I want to fill most of our officers are actually graduates of either SEMO and or our police academy. So that's what I really like.
Well, my next question was going to be, what's the response been? But obviously, you've heard from the faculty and staff that say, "Hey, we're glad that you guys are out."
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, you know, I haven't turned down in a year. I haven't turned down any speaking opportunities. That you know, so I've been invited to the faculty senate. I've been invited to you know, the classified staff or the professional staff. You know, to different fraternities and sororities and things like that. So that's what I love to do, and I just want to go out there and I call it kind of preach the gospel a little bit of kind of what we do, because I want them to see us as we're people too. I'm a father of a current student here. So you know, I take that serious, the safety for the students and the people coming on our campus.
All right, so you were here a year ago, now we're a year later. So some of the things you talked about have been implemented. What's next?
So technology is rapidly, you know, it's outpacing some of the times some of the things that we can do. So one of my big goals was I really wanted us to move into the 21st century when it came to technology. So my officers now have laptops in the car. They now have you know, capabilities of doing that, and we got some Flock cameras around campus, which is license plate readers.
Okay.
So we're trying to kind of stay up on the emerging technology, like some of the AI things that are coming out now with moving to the cloud with our report writing system. So there's just a lot of things that we can do, and in the future, what I'm hoping for is we still have parking services under us.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I would really like to do is eventually move to like a permitless system where you don't have to go in anymore and get a permit. That's kind of, again, that's antiquated. That's something that, you know, now everybody carries a phone, and you can download the permit, and that way you have it, and then through the license plate readers, we can tell who has the permit and who doesn't going into a specific parking lot.
That's interesting. So I know now, like in front of our building in Serena, they used to be the, you know, feed the meters. Those are gone. Now you scan a code.
Yep,
I guess
the Honk app.
Yeah.
Yes.
So eventually we're going to get away from maybe even that.
Right, because, well, and what we were finding, the reason we moved to that is because nobody carries change anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody carries money anymore, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we were missing out on a lot of opportunity there. So one of the things we wanted to do is, again, this actually came up through meetings with the student government, is, you know, like, what can we do to change some of that? And so we started researching that. We found that, you know, moving to this app, because if you go to any place else outside of Cape Girardeau, I'm from the St. Louis area, so if you go to the St. Louis area and you need to park somewhere, you just basically scan that QR code and you can pay right then and there, and that's what we moved to.
That's handy. Well, Rich, we're already out of time.
That was a fast 10 minutes.
I know. It's really good to talk with you. Thanks for being here. We'll have you back again.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Dr. Stephen Hoffman. This is Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. Uncovering the stories behind historic buildings and helping communities save their most treasured places is just some of the work being done by students in SEMO's Historic Preservation Program. Dr. Stephen Hoffman is coordinator of the Historic Preservation Program here at SEMO, and he's going to tell us all about that and much more with what's happening down in historic preservation. Good to see you, Dr. Hoffman.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
So first of all, for folks who may not be familiar, tell us about the Historic Preservation Program first.
Okay, sure. So the Historic Preservation Program is, we offer an undergraduate degree in historic preservation as well as a master's in public history. It's one of only a few in the country. I think we count like 9 undergraduate programs. It's the only one in Missouri. Yeah. And what we do is we prepare students to work in a variety of areas in the historical profession. So historic preservation, preservation of buildings and landscapes, but we also prepare students to work in museums or historic sites or archives. So basically, if you're interested in history and cultural heritage, and you want to work in that field, but you don't want to teach in a formal classroom setting, then we're the program for you.
This is a real hands-on program, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. Really from day one. I know that's now like a part of our marketing, but we've been doing it for over 40 years. But this semester, for example, students in our Intro to Historic Preservation class, one of the projects they work on is doing oral interviews. And so we're coming up to the 250th anniversary. And so we're interviewing volunteers in the various historic sites in Cape Girardeau about why they do what they do and how important it is in celebrating our history. So right from the start, students are actively engaged doing the kind of work that professional historians do.
So what are some of the challenges that you face? I mean, a lot of, we hear the stories about there's great old buildings that they want to make and take them down and make a parking lot. It has to be, you probably see a lot of things where you're like, oh, they should have just saved that. Why didn't they let me know about that?
Yeah, it's, I think that challenges come from a variety of perspectives, and I think one is a funding challenge in that it can be more costly to rehab a building than to build something new, but that doesn't take into account the quality of the historic buildings, right? That the things that we build today just don't have those kinds of finishes or that structure, and so I think that finding the funding stack to put buildings back in service can be a challenge, and there are historic tax credits and things like that, but it's a process. So partly it's an awareness of that property owners may not be aware that they could access these resources, and I think sometimes people have like a short-term perspective, right, and aren't really thinking about the long term and the quality of the larger built environment.
A lot of these older buildings, they were just built so much better, and I have this sense that a lot of care and craftsmanship went into building some of these buildings.
I think that we're really fortunate in Cape Girardeau that we have saved some of our really historic buildings, and certainly on campus, Academic Hall. I think when you walk through those halls and you see those finishes and just the quality and care that went into that building, as compared to some of the things that we're building today that go up very quickly and they're not going to be around in 100 years. So we also have the Marquette Tower, and if you get to go in the lobby there, I think you just really see that appreciation for beauty and quality and permanence that is often not reflected in today's construction.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, I know you work with Old Town Cape a lot.
Yes.
There's been a lot of work with them, and I know the Broadway Theater was something, I know you took students through that. Talk about some of those projects. Those were really interesting.
Yeah, so partly we try to introduce students to the to the whole, to the whole process, from touring, vacant, dilapidated buildings that are in the sort of the pre-rehab stage, as well as what the final products can be. The Broadway Theater has been a decades-long project, and I've taken many students through there, and it was a project that really came right down, literally to the last minute. That there were 2 votes for the city council agenda, and one was, to rehab it, and one was to demolish it, and so we really feel fortunate that even though it wasn't put back into service as a venue, it still is a presence there on Broadway, and I think that that's important. One of the things that we do in the program, and we use the Broadway Theater a couple of times for this, but we also have been working with other properties over the years, is to take students into a vacant property and then have them go through the steps of creating a feasibility assessment. Okay. What would be a good way to put this building back into service? We've been fortunate to collaborate with the construction management program and the entrepreneurship program, and so construction management gives us our design teams, and entrepreneurship provides business consultants, and then we learn all the different pieces that go into trying to figure out what would be a good use that would be a return on investment that would protect this building and put it into service for the future. So we really try to build that into what we have students do in the coursework.
We've got about a minute left.
Okay.
So when you go through the program like this with students, are they surprised at all of the facets and all of the things that go into maybe saving a building?
They are. I mean, I think that sometimes people who have a love of history and a love of buildings are like, oh, this is a beautiful building, somebody should save it. But usually the people who own them, they want to make money, right? And they're trying to figure out, well, how can I use this to make money? And so really marrying those two perspectives and understanding the elements that go into the different kinds of financial incentives, or the constraints that you might have, with the character defining features. I think it is pretty eye-opening for students, but they are then empowered to be able to bring that out into the world, into the communities that they will be in the future.
Very interesting. Dr. Stephen Hoffman, always good to talk with you. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by two members of the Redhawks Equestrian Team. You're watching Focus on Southeast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. There are a lot of different organizations for students to get involved in while they're attending Southeast Missouri State, and one of those is the Redhawks Equestrian Team. I'm joined by two members of the team, Mardi Fievet and Claire Ward. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to have a confession to make before we start. I didn't know till recently we had an equestrian team. I didn't know. So now that I know, I want to know more about it. So let's start with you, Mardi. Tell us about the team and how it got started and what some of the things that you all do.
So we are a team run through the SEMO Sports Club. We compete through the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association. And so mainly what we do is we bring students who maybe some of them don't have background in horses, some of them have ridden horses previously, but anyone is welcome to join the team, and usually we lesson once a week with a trainer who is at a horse boarding facility that we drive out to.
Okay.
And for showing, we usually show once to twice each semester, and we go out to other colleges for that.
Like for competitions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you don't have to show to be part of the team.
Okay.
You also don't have to lesson every single week. We understand as students ourselves that money can definitely be tight for college
Yeah,
students, but
yeah.
we're very fortunate that the barn we ride through, Remley Equestrian Center, the owner, Sue Ann Remley, and trainer Angie Fries, are very understanding and accommodating. And actually, if you're a part of the equestrian team, they give you a discount for lessons, which is
Really?
very helpful.
So how many members in the group right now?
I think about 11 or 12, 10.
So do you do any of the, I know you do the competitions, but I mean, is it just show, I mean, what do you do with the horses, I guess, in the competition? I'm just curious to know what you do.
Okay. So mostly we don't do any like rodeo, any stuff like that. We
Okay.
do a lot. It's called like, for the Western side, we do what's called like Western pleasure. So we go out, not quite as intense as like Western reining where they're running around, chasing cows down.
Okay.
But we go out, we'll do like a set pattern that a judge has picked out beforehand. So he'll be like, okay, trot up to this corner, make a left-hand turn, canter off. And so
Okay. Okay, go ahead, yeah.
And then we also do English, so specifically hunt seat, which is going to be, that's the type of discipline you see in the Olympics, right? They have the little saddles, they're jumping over stuff, things like that.
So, I mean, do students generally know about this? I mean, I know you guys have been doing more outreach, and I've seen you at more things. I made a note, I saw ponies on Parker. So what's that about? I think I know, but tell me what that's about.
Yes, so Ponies on Parker is when we actually bring horses from our barn out to Parker Field at SEMO's campus. And usually we'll have some riders riding around. We have someone who will jump the horses over some jumps we bring. And then we usually bring a horse that people can come and meet and love on.
And see, next time I'm going to watch your Facebook, because the next time that happens, I'm going to come over to see it, because that's right behind our building.
Awesome.
And you do clinics too. I saw something about that too. Talk about those.
We do. So clinics are when we bring in an outside professional and the team members will ride. Sometimes we open it up to other boarders at the barn, and the team members get to ride for free because we fundraise money and pay for this professional to come in, and it's basically kind of giving us tips and tricks from an outside perspective.
Okay. What kind of fundraisers do you do?
So in the past, we have found a lot of success with, is it called Dine to Donate? Is that through Texas Roadhouse?
Okay. Yeah.
We've also done things like raffle baskets, and we've done a home show where we, as a team, put on a show at our barn, and then we charge people at the barn to come and participate. And so we found a lot of success with programs like that.
How do you get more students engaged in it? Is this the outreach things that you do, or do you try to get more people involved?
I think outreach is like a big part of it because, like you said, a lot of people don't even realize we have an equestrian team. And so we have so many students that come up and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know like you had this here. I didn't even know you rode for SEMO. So just, I think getting our name out there and spreading awareness is just a major part.
So what other schools do we travel to for these competitions? I saw Springfield on your Facebook page. Where else do we go?
Yeah, so there's a few different ones. So the way IHSA is split up is it's into zones, and then there's regions, and then nationals. So within our zone, there's a couple schools in Missouri and Illinois that we travel to. Actually, Carbondale has a pretty good equestrian program, and we compete against them. Springfield, Kansas City, there's a few in Illinois too that I don't quite remember all the names of, but there's a few different schools that we compete of. And essentially one school will host, and all the other schools within the zone go to that school and compete.
And I guess this is the competition where the judge tells you you need to do this, and I guess you train. I guess, do you know in advance what you're going to be asked to do, or so do you kind of know how to prepare?
For Western, it kind of depends. Some shows, they'll send out the pattern ahead of time, like a day ahead of time, so you can kind of be like prepared. I know last year, a lot of the shows, they're like, oh no, you're not going to figure this out until you get there. So it was just a surprise.
So how do you train? I mean, how do you train then? Do you just do every possible combination that you think they might ask for?
Well, English is a little bit different too. So English, you have a pattern of fences, and in order you go to the fence, the jump, and even a direction you have to approach the jump. And you don't learn until the day of. Yes, so you just have to memorize.
That's not stressful at all.
Yes, but we essentially train, our trainer, Angie, she's very good about giving us the pattern and like, okay, let's do this. So we have that experience in lessons. And I think Western is kind of similar.
So for like the patterns they pick, they're IHSA patterns, and so they actually have a rule book that they list all the patterns out.
Okay.
So what we did was she'd pick a random pattern that we would practice on for a lesson, and sometimes you got lucky and the one that you were practicing on was the one that you got to do at the show. So
That's when you go, yes,
Yes.
it's worked out. We got about a minute left. What do you enjoy most about the equestrian team?
I just really like being able to ride so often and being able to compete. I rode a little before school, but I was never able to, I just didn't have the time or the money to be able to compete. So I like being able to do that.
All right, Claire?
I like being surrounded by other people who are very horse focused and community driven and really just want to have a good time and spend time with each other and horses in a positive atmosphere.
All right, so if we have students who've seen this or heard this and are curious, how can they find out more about the team? Mardi?
We have both an Instagram and Facebook page. We also have flyers that are posted around multiple buildings at campus, and they can just scan the QR code there and it'll take them directly to our GroupMe, and they can just message us through there.
We also meet every Wednesday at noon in Dempster 127.
Okay, right on campus, okay.
Yes.
Well, Mardi, Claire, thank you both for being here, and I've learned something new, and this is really exciting, so thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. And just a reminder that portions of these conversations will be broadcast on KRCU Public Radio. They'll also be available online at krcu.org and on the station's YouTube channel. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.